The Transform DJs used to be Transform Productions because we founded as a rave ministry that just put on raves and electronic dance parties in the Denver area. And so that's where it all started. That's where Tim, who's DJ Omni, and myself, who I go by DJ Life, and Jonathan Burgess, who goes by Jonathan Burgess, eventually moved into Denver and started putting on these really cool warehouse parties. I remember one of the first ones we had a Jeremy Dawson for the Shiny Toy Guns headline, and I played and Tim played, and I think we had about 400 people showed up. We packed out this entire warehouse, and it was just the greatest thing on planet Earth because we never even thought it was possible, to get that many people in one place. It was our biggest event to date. The reason why we found why it was so good is because it actually gave us kind of credibility within the rave scene. And so we were out every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night from like 10 to 3 in the morning, just out there on the streets passing out flyers. And that's where all the ministry happened. We'd be out there just passing out flyers, promoting the show, and talking to people about Jesus. One of my favorite stories of that time, right? It was one of those moments where you just knew that it was going to be, that you were in the right place. And we were at this club downtown called The Church. And I remember, it was about 2 in the morning, the club was just let down. Everyone's just drunk out of their minds, streaming out. We're passing out flyers, I'm looking at the corner of my eye watching John, minister and evangelize to some people. And I look over to the left and there's like this homeless guy that was in the middle of the street, and there's paramedics and ambulances, and I remember the guy actually just started to pee right on this paramedic, and it was just, if you can imagine that chaos of seeing people, streaming out the club and ministry. And I just remember thinking, for some reason, I just had the thought, I said, this is exactly where I like to be. I like to be out there on the street and in person, just being there.
During the time where we were doing ministry in the warehouses with the raves and parties and whatnot, we had a couple opportunities to really see God move. And one time in particular, I was passing out a rave flyer to somebody, and he asked what this was, and I gave it to him. Turns out that through that relationship and through that rave flyer, that individual accepted Christ. And then there was another situation where there was a pretty well-known drug dealer in Denver, in the scene at that time. And through just kind of being involved in the scene and getting to know people who were deeply involved, we were able to connect with her and start conversations. And it wasn't long that we were sharing our faith with her. And I believe that we bought her a Bible in the end. And the last we heard is she was out of it and she wasn't involved any longer.
One of the things about Transform Productions we want to do is we really want to start getting more and more personal with the people that we are ministering to. And so we actually started doing these things called sushi coffee house parties. And I was the sushi chef. They called me Sushi Luke. And we would just rent out a coffee shop. I'd make a ton of sushi. We'd have about 100 people show up, really low key. But it was so great because we got to just sit there for a couple hours. We just sit on couches, eat sushi. And that's when real ministry started to happen, because you got the attention of these people, from big rave promoters to rave and party kids, or candy kids, as you might call them. And we really enjoyed that. We were doing those monthly for several years. Now, John and Tim are like my bestest friends in the world, but we actually went through an interesting kind of lifetime where actually almost about the same time, Tim started having his kiddos, John got married, I got married, and we kind of just, for a couple of years, just kind of transitioned out of that. We still hang out every once in a while, but pretty much it was like the end of Transform Productions. So fast forward a couple of years after all of us have been married, we have our kids, all of a sudden we just started talking, saying maybe we should do some shows again, maybe we should get back into it. And we decided, hey, let's form a DJ band. So literally about a couple months after we formed the Transform DJs, we are on one of the biggest Nashville agencies in the country.